Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the 19th hole. Scottie Scheffler's taken a week off after a successful title defense at the Memorial. That means that someone else might be able to win this week, and we're going to do our best to help you find who that is right now as we head to the RBC Canadian Open right after the drop. Well, hello. Glad to see everybody again. If you're new to the show, please like, subscribe, and jingle the bell for notifications. Shout out to Talkin' West Tennessee 101.5 on the FM dial. And if you don't already, make sure that you check out my written content for some plays that don't make it to the live show. Article drops every Tuesday on the IVT site, sometimes Wednesday, depending on how lazy I am on a given week. But we got a special guest tonight. You might notice that the my other half is not here. We have a much smaller, much better looking gentleman with us. So as far as I know, he's not from NorCal, so not going to get many of those shout outs tonight. But Bo will be back next week for the U.S. Open. He's got some family functions this week. So Keith Flemming has been so gracious as to come hang out with us. Keith, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great. Big fan of the show. Thank you for having me on. Known Bo for a long time. Actually, have done a few shows with Bo before. Never, obviously, with you. So I'm looking forward to this. Thank you for the invite. And as you can tell, Southern guy here, to say the least. Georgia boy, y'all. And I'm ready to, break down a tournament that. It's a crapshoot, man. We don't have any data, which for a nerd like me, it's a little scary, but also fun and exciting.
Yeah, I was digging, man. I was spending some time before we jumped on, like trying to find an angle, trying to find some ins. I mean, I got some thoughts. I'm excited to talk to you about it, kind of see if we're on the same page or not. But yeah, like you said, it's a little bit of a crapshoot, and the field is on top of it a little bit of a crapshoot. Like there's a lot of guys in here that I'm just kind of like, man, that guy could pop off. Or we got some young guns coming in that we'll talk about a few of them. But it's the great unknown tonight. So I'm looking forward to breaking it down. And you mentioned you've known Bo a while. I'm sorry for that. God only knows what you've had to endure as long as you've known him. But I'll tell you what, he's one guy that's always got an opinion. So it ain't going to be quiet when you're hanging with Bo.
No, but you'll find out I also survived with quite a lot of opinions. Just ask my wife about everything. And to make matters worse, I'm not afraid to share them. So,
well, if you ask my wife, my opinion's always the wrong one. I got one, but it ain't the right one. But anyways, I think we probably actually have kind of a lot to talk about tonight because it's like we said, we're trying to find an angle here, and we're going to be grasping at straws a bit. We're going to throw some stuff at a wall and see what sticks. So if you want to, we'll get on over into our news Niblick section. We'll go over the news and what's happening in the world of golf.
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, here we go. Just had to get a sip of whiskey and make sure.
Did you get Bill and Ted Volume 3 vibes from that musical overlay there?
I'm just waiting for the God gave rock and roll to you, like come in. Absolutely. And the funniest thing was we changed a lot of our drops this year, and I didn't notice that it was Tiger Woods getting arrested for like probably the first 5 or 6 shows, and then it like dawned on me, and I thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen.
I mean, he didn't get arrested like Scheffler, but he still got arrested.
Oh, man. I don't have it on tonight, but I've got one of those free Scottie mugshot T-shirts.
Best thing that ever happened to him, honestly, for his career.
Honest to God, I mean, I think Scottie's just like a genuinely good dude, but man, it's a lot like watching paint dry. just very
Oh,
like,
see, I maybe it's because I'm somebody that's played golf for a very long time and obviously nowhere near that level, but I'm in awe of what he can do, and it was what he was saying a couple of weeks ago at the PGA, and you could really feel his frustration, right? That I've spent my entire life getting to control this little white golf ball to go where I want it to go. And now you're telling me if I hit it right down the middle and there's mud on it, it's my fault, right? And now I got to bring that into it. And I just, again, like I just think it's amazing what he does. And especially because he's more flawed than, Tiger or Jack was, right? Like he has, some kinks in the armor, to say the least, but he does have the qualities that Jack and Tiger did. He's just so much better with his long irons. He's so much better with his wedges and around the greens that it doesn't matter most weeks.
yeah, no, and I'll say with Scottie, I mean, you got some unorthodox stuff, right? But like it's a game, swing your swing, right? And I think what was always like kind of put me off about Scheffler in the beginning was I'm like, God, it's just hard to watch because I've been a lifelong golf player too. I think I've been playing 35, 36 years at this point. And so how a golf swing is supposed to look, and then you watch, Scottie, and it's unorthodox, and so I think that was always I've always been more of a classical guy, like I always gravitated towards Rory's swing. To me just doesn't get any more beautiful for your money. But anyways, and back to Scottie, and then you start looking at Scottie with the putting woes that he did. He's been through ups and downs, and I mean he was rolling the ball so beautifully last week at the Memorial at points that it's crazy. I mean, when that whole game is firing, it's tough to envision somebody beating him.
Yeah, I mean, to me, the bigger thing is because there's a lot of stuff going on right now with Scottie, like conversations that I feel uncomfortable having and I feel comfortable having in terms of like all time, greatness. I'm very comfortable with saying that he is without a doubt the best golfer since Tiger Woods. And it's not even close because to me, golf is not about your best days. Anybody can be fucking Rory McIlroy and these other dudes, right? And just go bananas when everything's right. Great golfers like Jack, Tiger, and I see this with Scheffler, they get it done when they don't have their A stuff. And I mean, like last week, he didn't make a putt outside of 15 feet all week. He wins by 4 shots. He was almost dead last in the field in strokes gained putting and still led the field in scrambling. That's how good he is with his wedges around the green, that he's not making putts at the rate that the rest of the field is. And he's still beating these guys by wide margins easily.
No, and I don't disagree with you. The only thing I'll say is like I didn't watch a ton of golf this weekend. I had a lot going on, but like when I did tune in, like what I was alluding to with Scottie's putting stroke is a lot of the putts he was making on like good reads were like center cup. I mean, it was like the ones that were rolling really well. It was like the probably the most confident strokes that I'd seen him put on a putting stroke in a while.
Oh, for sure. No, I felt like he putted well. He just did not make
Yeah.
anything. Like, I mean, and obviously, again, the data, backs that up because he was like dead last in strokes gained putting, and he didn't make a putt outside of 15 feet. He had that 14.5-foot putt on Sunday for par, which was by far the longest putt he made of the entire event. But to your point, he is rolling it so much better. And to me, the bigger thing with him, because we know obviously he was like 120th in putting 2 years ago. Last year, 60th. Now he's top 20, which is a terrifying thing for the rest of the PGA Tour. But he's also making those putts when he needs him. And the other thing again, why Scheffler to me is unquestionably, like it's not even close. Like no offense to Phil Mickelson, no offense to Jordan Spieth, Rory Matt, all these other guys, Dustin Johnson that have had good runs. It's the consistency. And that's what you see. Again, that is great golf. Like great golf is being able to get the same results with a bunch of different ways of getting there. And over his last 7 events, I had to look at this. 3 wins, a runner-up, 2 fourths, and 8th. He's now finished top 10 in 26 of his last 33 starts and only finished outside the top 25 twice in those 33 starts. He is playing on another level that we have not seen since Tiger Woods, period.
I just can't sit here and hear all this without chiming in and saying, I think Rory McIlroy. Like I think it's up for debate. I think Rory on his best day, Rory on his B+ game, I think are better than Scottie. I think to your point, Scottie finds ways to get it done, but I think the total body of work, I think I lean Rory here still.
Three guys in the history of the game, 15 wins, 3 majors before they were 29 years of age. Jack, Tiger. It wasn't Rory.
That was Scottie.
Scottie. And he's just turned 28. I mean, like, people don't realize this is only his 5th full year in the majors. He's already got 3 and like 8 top 10s and 6 top 5s to go along with it. Like, he is on another level. And again, this is not me disrespecting Rory. This is not like me disrespecting Phil. I'm just saying the consistency where you will see those guys go on great runs and then you'll see them miss cuts and play terrible. You do not see this from Scottie because he hits the ball so consistently solid, just like Tiger did in his heyday, and so did Jack. And the real difference is those middle to long irons. He's so much better than everybody else on tour. And again, he's so much better from his wedges too. Like, once you get 100 yards and in, he's also the best on the planet. And that's really been Rory's undoing for the longest time, is he just can't, from like 150 in, dominate the game the way somebody who drives the ball the way he should be capable.
Yeah, and to be honest, Bo and I go after Rory on a regular basis about that. But I will say it's probably been the last a market improvement.
Oh, for sure.
Over the course of the season, and I think that's what makes Rory so dangerous moving forward. Is the more and more that those short irons and the wedges get tuned up a little bit. Like, man, if he can get that part of his game just dialed.
Because his irons have been really good this year. Like, really good.
And his longer irons, I mean, are never, in my opinion, from 7-iron up. I don't ever really worry about Rory too much. It's once you get 8, 9, and then into the wedges where it's like, how's this one going to come out?
Yep.
But and not to get too far off. So we did have another Scheffler blowout. We actually had 2 Scheffler blowouts this week. We had Scottie, who defended his Memorial title back-to-back. He went 70-70, 68-70, proving that he is not a human on a golf course. Quickly followed by him proving that he is every man when he took hold of his child from his wife, Meredith, walking off the 18th green and put his left hand directly into a blowout on the backside of his child, who was televised with a giant poop stain.
What are we doing here, Pampers? What are we doing here? Like, I don't understand the PGA Tour. I don't understand these big marketing companies. This guy is everything you want in a spokesman. He's white, okay? He's religious. He is somebody who doesn't say or do crazy things. He's extremely competitive. And yet I am not bombarded with him in commercials, and I don't understand it. This is yet another example where if I was Pampers, throw the bag at him right now. Like, what are you doing?
It seems to me when watching his kid crawling around on the green and watching him playing with his yardage book, and it's just like there's an opportunity there that's being missed. Like somebody needs to jump on this. But yeah, no, I thought it was a pretty neat moment. To bring that full circle, I thought it was a pretty neat moment because, Scottie's response is, well, it happens. And, it's just like in that heightened moment, you're just walking out of a win, and he's just so hyper-focused on his family. And those are the moments where, like, I get a little more into Scottie, where he shows that human side of him. Because on the course, he's just cool, calm, and collect. He has his flare-ups here and there, but a lot of times it almost feels robotic. You're watching him go through the motions, and I like Scottie as a human a lot.
I do think he feels more comfortable showing his emotions on the golf course, and we've seen that a lot more in the last couple of years, to where I think that it was by design. He didn't want to rub people the wrong way, and now that he's seen again the way Rory and other guys can get the crowds behind him, you see a little bit more fire on him. Like, obviously when he won the PGA, like, I haven't seen that kind of celebration from him ever. And just the raw emotion. But I mean, even like some of the fist pumps and stuff this week were really different. And this is Scottie Scheffler's world that we're all living in. And I can't wait to see where he goes from here, because I was lucky enough to watch Tiger grow up. Like, I was the biggest Tiger mark in the world. I never thought there would be another golfer in my lifetime that could kind of just grab the game of the golf by the throat. And that is exactly what Scottie Scheffler is doing right now, because Phil Mickelson had the nerve to go, hot take, Scottie Scheffler doesn't win this year before the Ryder Cup. Well, he's got 3 now, Phil. He might have 6 or 7 by the time you get there. So that's going to look pretty weak.
From a gambler, that might have been the worst take I've ever heard.
Ever.
But nah, here's the thing with Scottie. I mean, if you look at Scottie a few years back, even you can make an argument that he was a bit of a mental midget, right? Like he had blow-ups on the course. I mean, it looked like vintage Wyndham Clark type of blow-ups. And, he kind of got that under control. And I think he's slowly allowing himself to express some of the emotion on a golf course again. And I hope he does, man. Like, honestly, like, I know I'm not alone. I know you don't necessarily share this opinion, but I know I'm not alone in talking with other people. Like, I want to see Scottie pissed. I want to see Scottie at an elevated, like, excitement level. Like, to your point, he's getting better. He's letting it go a little more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But, like, I want to see that.
You know what my comeback to that is? PGA Tour major guys challenge him, because none of y'all are challenging him. He is winning these things and walks.
I mean, I hate to remind you, but Rory did just win the Masters.
And Scottie was only a few weeks back from a hand surgery, and he was right there, is my point. What has Rory done since then when Scheffler has came on and got back into the groove? He hasn't done really anything. And again, he's finished top 8, 7 straight times, 3 wins, runner-up, 2 fourth-place finish, and an 8th. And almost all these are elevated events.
So we all know Keith loves Scottie Scheffler. So
I love greatness. I mean, that's I've always been a mark for it. I'll admit it. I'm a Brady guy. Of course, he ripped my heart out as a Falcons fan. I'm a Tiger guy. Jordan guy. I love guys that rise above it. And I just think that he is at this point so much better than everybody else on the tour, week in and week out. Like, I think it is a fair debate to say, if Rory has all of his stuff going and Scottie has all of his stuff going, who is better? I think that would be great to see. I would love to see it.
I would love to see that.
Week in and week out, it's not even close. Like, Rory's going to dominate off the tee. Scottie is going to kill you, not only off the tee, but all the way into the greens.
You know, the interesting thing about him, and then we'll move on to our next headline, but the interesting thing about the two of them is, like, in a lot of ways, it all boils down to the same kind of gaps in their game, right? Like, I would say naturally Scottie is better wedges around the green, whatever, than Rory is. But I would say they both have moments of greatness followed by moments of, like, kind of frustration. And then same with the putter. Like, Rory, I think, is naturally a better putter, but Rory is live to have as bad a week on the green as Scottie is. And so I think a lot of times it just boils down to which one of them has those 2 tools in the tool chest that week.
Scottie's wedge game, though, is so much better around the greens than Rory's is week to week. I agree with you on the putting, and I actually think that Scottie has worse putting weeks than Rory did. And again, this is one of my issues with Rory. This guy is the next big thing. The only thing preventing him from taking your spot as the king of golf is learning how to putt. And you go, hey, man, you should try this putter that I use. And since then, he's gone from 120th to 60th to top 20. That is not killer instinct. That is not how you become the alpha man. That's not growing the game. You just said Scottie's boring, right? So, like, he's basically let a robot take over the tour. But I mean, I really can't believe that Rory thought that was a good idea. Like, granted, it's a great, like, it says so much about Rory McIlroy as a human being, but it's why Rory will probably end up with like 5, 6 majors, and people like Tiger Woods end up with 15, right?
Oh,
and
Tiger Woods.
You got to have the tunnel vision, man.
Tiger Woods is slit your throat if it meant winning. I mean,
And I think Scheffler has that. And I think that people don't see it because it's hidden behind the quiet demeanor. It's hidden behind the religious family background. But the fact that he showed up and said, granted, he did not win the week before, but he showed up and said, look, I didn't come here to, basically sign autographs and play for Texas. I came here to compete.
I thought that was a cool quote. I'm hearing you out because I'm coming around. I'm not the world's biggest Scheffler fan. I debate this frequently with people. I recognize greatness. Definitely won't take it away from him. But yeah, I'm coming around on him. But we do have to talk about betting eventually. So let's blast through a couple of headlines real quick.
Told you I have opinions.
Hey, Rory is playing this week, so I have a feeling we're going to talk about Rory a little more. But in our next headline, we had Maja, not pronounced Maya, Stark win the Women's U.S. Open at Erin Hills with an impressive 70, 69, 70, 72, holding off Nelly Corda and Rio Takita. Both shot 5 under to Stark's 7 under. Honestly, again, transparency, I didn't get to watch a lot of any kind of golf this weekend, but the highlights I did see, I saw Nelly making a little bit of a charge in the second round when she posted 67. There were some really nice shots from the highlight reel there. But I think ultimately Maja did what she had to do, right? She got herself out to a lead, and then she just played consistent golf coming down the home stretch. And Erin Hills isn't exactly a walk in the park either. I mean, it's a tough course, and she had some real strong players chasing her. Minji was there for a little bit, I think, up until Saturday. So there were some real sharks right behind her. Did you catch any of it at all?
Oh yeah. Again, I'm a nerd. I watch all this stuff. I just was really surprised to see again someone on the women's tour who showed so much emotion and fire. I mean, I saw her throw clubs 3 times over the weekend that I counted. So if I saw 3 and I wasn't watching every single shot, 'cause obviously I was watching Scottie start it as well, but that means she probably did it more than that. And I like that. Like, I am with you that, like, that is part of what made Tiger who he was that there's the highs and the lows, right? And he understood this is a television show, and it's something that these tours cannot figure out. Like, you have to sell the players. Yes, you can sell the game and the sport that's going on. You got to sell the people on the screen. Formula One's figured this out. All these different places have figured it out. The golfing bodies have not, and hopefully they will, because I think this is one of the greatest sports in the world, and especially as gambling has continued to take such a big part of all sports and what drives viewership and numbers and all that. This is the ultimate gambling sport. This is like the only sport that you can hit a 70 to 100 to 1 winner at the beginning of the week. And it's not that crazy to where, think about the rest of the sport. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you know your stuff, or you pay attention, or you invest any amount of time, like, you can find these long hits. And no, I'm with you. And, I think what's interesting, Bo hates this take. You can hate this take if you want, but I thought that TGL is on the right track. I love it. I love the personalities. I love the crowds. I love the noise. I love the in your face of what it is, and like that raw emotion that it gets out of players. I love that they're expanding. I love that they're talking about bringing in LPGA players into some of these teams. Like, I think we're sitting on a gold mine in terms of making these players more relatable, making people fans first. And that's what the PGA needs. They got to find a way to get people engaged.
Conor, this just means that me and you are not old fuglies like Bo, because this isn't for us. The TGL is to grow the game with the young people, and it is working. And let's not be the old guys, get off my lawn, or I don't like music on the golf course, all of that, yeah. Like, let's not be that. Anything that will grow the game is good for the sport, is good for the game of golf. And, again, there's all kinds of different ways to consume football, to consume baseball, all these other sports. What's wrong with that with golf, right? Like, there's 3-on-3 basketball. Some people like 3-on-3 basketball. Some people like, right? Like, I mean, there's different ways to get to the same end, and they're not doing it. They're not reaching a new audience. And I love Jim Nantz. I love, some of the traditional stuff from the golf coverage, but that's not reaching anybody under the age of 40 years old. It's just not.
No, it's not. And
whispering over a mic, he's got a 4-footer here. Just moving a little left to right. Well, let's watch him take 2 or 3 practice strokes.
And then they got to cut away because they're still taking practice strokes.
It's like, what are we doing? What are we doing? It's a TV show.
And speaking of trying to get younger people involved, our next headline, David Ford is the #1 ranked player in PGA U. He'll make his first official card-carrying member start this week in Canada. Another notable is Jackson, and I murder his last name. Kavanaugh.
Dude's a stud. I've known him since he was like 11. Dude is a stud.
So I think he's better than Ford for sure.
I do. I'm going to go ahead and say that everything that he has done his entire career says the same thing. He has dominated at every age group, and that's usually a really good indicator for these guys. Winning, breeds more winning.
Well, and if you look at it, just a couple of headliners here, and we got 2 of them in the field this week. I mean, David Ford is going to be an amazing talent, I think.
Yep.
If you look at what he did at North Carolina, incredible talent.
Interesting guy too, which they need more of these people.
Yeah, and I truly, watching his highlight reel over the last few years. I mean, again, to your point, interesting guy. I'm excited to see what he does. Jackson's another one. And Jackson's been a little more on Bo and I's radar than David Ford was for a lot of the reasons you just said. Like, the guy is going to be an incredible player. I think in a lot of ways better than David Ford. But then you look at like Luke Clanton, who is one of the most recent, I don't want to say star. He's not a star, but one of the most recent players to go through the PGAU program. And, he's making a ton of noise already. And Luke Clanton is another guy that's like very much the real deal. Has a well-rounded game, can pretty much play any course. It's a lot like what we talk about with Ludwig Oberg, where, there's a skill set that exists in these younger players that almost makes them course proof. Like, yeah, they've got some chinks in the armor for sure.
Right.
But
it's the mental makeup, right? Like, their games are foolproof. And that's what I like about what you're saying about Clanton. Clanton's already proven on the biggest stages, and not just college, amateur, but also now on, the pro circuit, that he can live up to that. And the moment's not too big for him. And at the end of the day, that's what this is for 90% of those guys out there. Is like, yes, there's the Scotties and the Rorys that are up in this, but that whole next like 80%, they're all basically the same guy. And it's which one of them are better up here, which one of them knows their game better, and which one of them can handle the pressure week in and week out, especially when they have a opportunity to grab a win.
And that's what I love about Luke Clanton is Bo and I have talked about this quite a bit watching him play. He's got more guts than brains sometimes. and I think that that's a recipe for a superstar. Like, I think that watching somebody who's got the Rory McIlroy tin cup mentality, like, just go for it. And I think there's some shades of that with Luke Clanton. So I get really excited to see what he does over the course of his career. So we got some hot players. David Ford and Luke Clanton are both in this field. Spoiler, I like both of them here.
Thorbertson's another guy that's a recent grad who's been playing really well. And
yeah, we'll talk about him when we get into betting, because I think he's an interesting proposition at the number. When is he going to win? Like, when is he going to break through? Because it seems like when he sets up well, he craps the proverbial bed, and we just,
I think this venue potentially, again, we don't know, and I want to be the first to say that. You're going to see a lot of people saying this is the right way to look at this turn. Nobody knows. There's no data, so we're all flying blind. We're all making this shit up as we go along. Can you have educated guess? Of course, but I do think that this is the kind of venue that wide fairways, I think it is going to be an advantage to hit it long. He's actually been really good at avoiding bogeys, and you've got a lot of tough holes out here. 6 holes of 480 plus yards, par 4s, 2 par 3s are 220 plus yards. His iron numbers have been getting better. Like, he's a lot more like consistent than I thought he would be. It's actually been this. He's not he's not the scorer I thought he would. Like, I thought he was going to be this birdie machine that would just rack up birdies all the time. So
I think that's because of what I was saying. Like, I think when the stars align and those risks are paying off, he's going to rack them up.
Yeah,
we'll see. So. We'll see. All right, we are 30 minutes into the show. We have 22 minutes to go. Let's get some bets out to some people right after this drop. See, this is the problem with me not hosting, right? Is if I don't use the keywords, Nicolette doesn't know when to hit the drop. That's my bad. I'm learning.
She's also telling me, Keith, well, can you quit swearing every 5 seconds? So she's a little busy in her defense. So that's my bad. I'm really sorry, Nicolette.
She's putting time marks in to where you're cursing. It's fine. It's a family show, Keith.
I told you before we went on the air. It's a struggle.
So I'm going to hit it with some. I'm going to hit it real quick with a little bit of a course breakdown. We skipped our caddy notes tonight for time's sake. We're going to get right into betting. Loving our conversation with Keith. So I didn't want to cut any of that short. So, but just a quick overview of the uninspiring that is not the right course name. Going so good. TPC Toronto at Osprey Valley, Toronto, Ontario, Canada, par 70, yardage is 73.89. Fairways, we've got a mixture of bluegrass and bent. Rough is going to have some fescue. Greens are also going to be bent. Weather here is going to be low 70s, high 60s. We're going to dip even lower than that at some of the early tee times. Winds are going to be pretty mild. What that's going to equate to is really receptive greens. But I think one thing to call out about this course again is it's somewhat typical of what RBC Canadian Opens have become, right? It's like kind of a Parkland style course, tree lined. You don't have a whole lot of bunkering here. You don't have a whole lot of hazards in play. Not super penal to miss the fairways. The fairways are larger than average. The greens are right around average. There's just nothing terribly daunting about this course. I hope to God I'm wrong. I really hope that this does produce some drama. I don't know that it's going to. I think that this is a pretty easy course to navigate. I think as long as you can play some long irons, as long as you have a little bit of an around the green game when you do miss from a little longer distance. Keith, you called this out earlier. We do have a lot of par 4 scoring from the 450 to 500 range here. So we are going to have some longer irons in play. Usually equates to missing a few greens, no matter how big they are. But, ultimately, over the last 8 weeks, I would say that this is probably one of the least penal courses that these guys have seen. And I'm not real sure that I see that being any different when they actually get on it.
I think that's fair. I do think, though, that it's going to be difficult, I think, to put solid rounds together. I really do, because the layout of the course is very interesting. Because if you start on 1, you start with a par 5, and then you do not play another par 5 until the 18th hole. So for these first round leader bets, look for guys that start on the back 9, right? Because they're going to go 18-1, can really get stuff going. I do think that it's going to be a little tougher than people think, because you got par 3s, 220 plus. You got 6 par 4s of 480 plus. I think most of those holes are going to play over par or near over par. And then is there enough scoring holes? Because you got the 2 par 5s and then potentially 2 drivable par 4s, which depending on where they put the tees, are they going to make that a really big advantage for the longest guys who can reach it? Or are they going to potentially move it up, 2 days even more to where then you're letting everybody into it, and the longest guys are now probably hitting fairway woods?
Yeah, but I think there's some guys that it just doesn't matter. I mean, like that's kind of honestly where I'm at with it. Is you put the tee box wherever you want, and there are players in this field that like going to pretty much score on this place regardless of how you set it up.
So when you say score, what are you talking about then? Maybe we're saying the same thing and just different numbers.
Well, I'm saying like we've seen a lot of lower or higher scoring events over the course of the last 8 weeks or so. I think that this returns to kind of the mid-20s under par.
Ooh, wow. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, I was thinking it's probably somewhere in the 12 to 18 range would be what I'm expecting.
See, I'm thinking more like 17 to like 24, like somewhere in there is kind of what I'm thinking based on the layout, based on, I think it's a bit of a bomb and gouge, to be honest.
But so was Cricket Club, and we saw how that went.
Yeah, I mean,
and that's a par 70 that was set. Like that's actually the course that I've looked into the most for. Like, okay, let's look at apples to apples comparison. We're not going to find one, but this is another par 70 venue that most people thought these guys were going to come in, do the same thing, bomb away, make a bunch of birdies, and that just didn't really happen. Now again, we'll see, because the Canadian Open typically does have lower scoring. We've seen that most years. I just, again, with these guys, as good as they are, they've never played this venue. They don't have the experience and stuff. And I do think that that's going to keep scoring in check, especially again, when you're not going to have a ton of like really easy scoring holes back to back. There's no stretches like that. They really,
that's true.
And spread out to where there's like 480-yard par 4, then a manageable par 4, and then a 490-yard par. You know what I mean? So I just don't know if these guys are going to be able to keep rounds going, which is so important when you're going deep, right? Like, and instead you're gonna have a lot of guys with say 3-4 under rounds with 7-8 birdies potentially.
Yeah, I again, we don't know,
right?
So,
yeah.
So I mean, you and I could argue till we're blue in the face. I think it's easier scoring than what you just laid out, but I think it's a wider like spectrum of outcomes. I think the really good players are probably going to score and score pretty prolifically, and then I think kind of the middle of the pack is going to be a little more akin to what you just said, where it's like, you know, somewhere in that 3 to 5 under, and a lot of birdies, but a lot of bogeys, or you know, a lot of pars. And so I think it's going to be interesting to see how this course shakes out. I mean, if I'm being honest, I don't have high expectations for it.
This is normally a good event, though. That I have more faith in the event, and it really have, I think, getting some prestige with the last couple of winners. That may end up, you know, because basically since Rory started dominating this, and you've had McIntyre, and obviously the famous Taylor putt, poor Fleetwood. It just, you know,
R.I.P.
I do think that this is becoming like, this is a national championship, and people are starting to rightfully look at it this way. And that's what Tiger played in. That's what I try to tell people. Do you think Tiger Woods played in events that he didn't, you know, deem in high prestige? Like, no.
So I'm with you. Like, I don't think it's like a joke of an event. Like, don't get me wrong. I think it's in particular, the last couple of years have been really good golf. And I think we get really good golf. I just think we get really competitive golf, and not necessarily a competitive course.
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah. I understand what you're saying.
So anyways, let's get right into it. Let's take a look at our favorites. Top of the board here, we got, no surprise to you, my favorite golfer in the world, my number one in my heart, number one
in your heart. I love it.
Rory at plus 450. I think you would be hard pressed to show me a model that doesn't love Rory here.
Yeah. Wide fairways, driver distance is going to be a key. He's outstanding this year on scrambling, putting, like just everything says that. Yeah. And he's obviously very comfortable playing in Canada. So, yeah, I would say that that's fair.
He's won in Canada a couple times, isn't it?
Just a few times. Yeah.
But yeah, I you know, this is a rare occasion where I think plus 450 actually is pretty reasonable for the value that Rory represents here. Yeah, the off the tee game can be ridiculous, wider than average fairways. I think, as we talked about earlier, that short iron and wedge play is really kind of starting to come together, and the putter really hasn't let him down very much as of late. So I think this is a really nice setup for Rory. I think he's going to kind of rip this place apart. And frankly, I think he's probably going to win. And other than that, I'm probably going to take a lot more long shots. There's a few guys in the middle here that I think can rise up. But as far as these like kind of quote unquote favorites go, I mean, you're looking at guys like Oberg right there. You're looking at
Worst odds like week to week of anybody on tour right now. He is basically Cam Young with more talent. I don't know what people are doing until he wins more. Like, what are we doing?
What is 14-1 on Oberg about?
What in the yeah, right?
I don't get it. And now granted,
name recognition, I guess. That's the only thing I can think.
Man, he looks pretty, doesn't he? And maybe
he's like dead last the last what, like 6 tournaments in iron play. That's a pretty bad sign for the prettiest swing on the planet.
And maybe I don't know, man. Maybe he comes out and does what he can do, and falls into that kind of I'm course proof. I'll show up and I'll shoot the lights out, and maybe this is
played great Sunday last week, so maybe found something right. These guys can find stuff too.
Maybe. But frankly, 14-1 on Oberg, I think is just far too short. Yeah. Far too short, right?
I would way rather bet Rory at plus 450 than any of these guys in the timber. Yeah.
I'm with you. Now, I do have slight interest in Corey Connors. If nothing else, we're playing a home game. I think he's been playing pretty good golf this year.
Great golf.
Rates really well for me. He rates out number 2 in my modeling. Specifically, the off the tee game has been fantastic. He rates out 5th over the last 36 rounds in strokes gained off the tee. Bogey avoidance, which is kind of a surprising stat to me with Corey Connors, because 1, he's not a long ball hitter. 2, he's not great around the green. And 3, typically he is not the best putter on the planet. But he avoids bogeys like a champion. He rates out number 1 over the last 36 rounds, just in front of Rory, rather. So I do have some interest in Corey Connors at 20-1.
Yeah, I'm totally good with that. I actually think he has a better chance of winning if it's more along the lines that I'm seeing, where it's not such a scoring fest, and that score is kind of in that 12 to 18 under range, because to your point, he's not going to make a lot of mistakes, but he may not make as many birdies either. Because remember, these are flat greens too. This isn't going to be one of those greens where you're able to hit irons in and, run it off a slope to 5-6 feet. Like, you're going to have to hit quality iron shots and then make putts on top of that. But he definitely has the game to, in my opinion, get that done.
I'm with you. So he's going to get some money from me this week. A guy that you and I both are interested in this week, and my normal host is fights me on almost weekly, is Sam Burns. So I'll give you the floor. These people have heard me talk about Sam Burns. You tell me what you like about Sam Burns at 30-1.
Well, for starters, he is playing really well. If you look the last couple events, like all of a sudden his iron game is getting better. And I just look at this venue, which again, huge advantage to guys that can bomb it off the tee. Check. Then the next big thing is streaky, hot putters. Like, that's what happens on flat greens, is you need guys that can make a lot of putts. Let me tell you something. Sam Burns can make more putts than anybody on tour. Is he first still? I knew he was for a long time. So to me, 30-1 for a guy that has the power to not get lapped by the Rorys and stuff in this field, but he is way better than all those guys on the greens. And then if he can just have a good iron week, that's always it with Burns. He's gonna be in contention, and we saw that last week again at Memorial.
Yeah, no, and honestly, the biggest things I look at with him is, I mean, he has been absolutely on fire on the greens. If you look at the PGA Championship, 7.1 strokes gained putting, CJ Cup 8.1, Truist 5.4. Memorial 3.4. Like, these are stupid numbers gaining on the green. And then you look at the Memorial last week, like the overall tee to green game with him was it actually starting to peak where I've seen the kind of line graph trending towards. He gained 2.1 strokes tee to green and had an otherworldly approach week for him. It was the first week in 9 tournaments that he gained strokes on approach. And I'll tell you this, don't let Sam Burns get hot. If Sam Burns starts getting hot and that approach game comes back, He's right there on Sunday.
The last time we saw that kind of putting stretch was when he won 3 tournaments in, like, I don't know what it was, 6 months. And so if he, to your point again, if he gets the irons going, which it's showing signs of life, he is one of the more talented guys on tour because of how far he hits it off the tee. He's got plenty of length. He's a really good wedge player, and he can put the eyes out.
No, for sure. I love that one. Just because we're running a little short on time, we'll get into the mid price here. I think you and I got a couple of guys that we're really in lockstep on. Love Luke Clanton this week. I think this is a potential real breakout week for Luke Clanton. And I know you've got him pegged too.
Yeah, I mean, where do you want to go? Top 10 and 200 plus approaches in this field? Luke Clanton. He is one of just 7 players who are ranked above average in strokes gained approach, driving distance, strokes gained putting on bent greens, and strokes gained tee to green on comp courses. He's coming in as one of the hottest players on tour, tee to green, with his recent starts. This to me is just the kind of breakout venue for him. And I think that his value is not quite where Oberg's is, where I still think that there's value at him at 35-1, to where if he gets into the 20s and stuff, then we have to have a different conversation.
Yeah, no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, I think he's every bit the player that Oberg is, if not better. I know that's a hot take, but it over double the odds here. Like, I'm going to take Luke Clanton every single time, especially given where Oberg's at right now. So I love that. I love that number. I'm going to run the ladder on him. I love the top 5. I love the top 10.
I'm with you.
I think this is a really, really prime spot for him to break out. And if you look at stats, I mean, he's number 3 in this field on par 4 scoring from 450 to 500. That's most of the par 4s. He's number 1 in this field for strokes gained off the tee, number 12 in approach. The only thing that he really has a hole in his game at is around the green, but he backs that up with having kind of a next level approach game where he's having more opportunities at birdie than a lot of the guys on tour. So I think this is a situation where if Clanton can keep it together for 4 rounds, this could be the first time we see him break out.
And again, 2 drivable par 4s, 2 par 5s that he's going to easily be able to reach. He shouldn't have to use strokes gained around the green on those holes. And I think, again, because of his numbers from 200 plus yards, he's going to, and you're talking about with the par 4, he's going to play those tough par 4s better. That's a huge advantage for somebody like him, where he's basically going to have 4 potential eagle holes, where a lot of the guys in the field are going to have 2. And then on top of that, he's so much better than them at the toughest holes on the golf course.
I'm going to do something a little unorthodox because we get cut off at 52 minutes on the radio. We'll jump up. We'll do a couple of long shots real quick, and then you and I will come back and we'll finish up the mid.
Sure. All
right, let's do it. So for me, the long shots in here that I'm looking at, I love Carl Phillips. We maybe have a little bit of blind faith in Carl Phillips on this show, but I think he has what potentially is a complete game. 120-1 seems like a value for Phillips, who's already won on tour this year. So I'm definitely going to throw a couple bucks at that. I mean, that's one of those, hey, throw $5 at it. And if it hits, you're pretty happy about it.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I really like the value this week for long shots of not going really long. This like 70, 80 range to me is some really good options. Taylor Moore, 70-1, fits the bill for this course really well. Justin Rose at 70-1 in this field with the way he plays big golf courses. Like he just, I mean, who's better around the greens and with long irons than Justin Rose? And then Jake Knapp is somebody I always think of when I think of putting is going to be a big key, and then gaining strokes off the tee, which that is what Jake Knapp does. And it's particularly on venues that there's no real penalty for missing fairways, which is huge. And that's, I think, what's going to happen this week. The other 2 guys I just want to real quick highlight are Emiliano Grillo at 100-1 and Hodges at 120, where I just think you're getting guys who they're in the top 10 in a lot of statistics in the field, and they're in the triple digits. So it's not so much that I really believe Grillo or Hodges is going to win this event. It's just, I think that's too good a value for me to pass up on it. And I would be like livid at myself if Sunday they did end up winning the event. And I know I had them at this number with all the guys lower priced than them, and I didn't take at least, I don't know, 0.1 of a unit and just throw it on. Do something, right?
Well, and to your point with Lee Hodges, I mean, Lee Hodges is number 9 in my model, the way I
Wow.
built it out. And it goes back to that par 4 scoring, that 450 to 500, which I weighted relatively heavy this week. He's 6th in the field for strokes gained in that range. And then when you look at proximity from 125 to 150, which is going to be kind of the other main bucket on the other par 4s, he's 3rd in this field for strokes gained for that range. And then number 10 in the field on approach over the last 36 rounds. I mean, the guy's no slouch. So to your point, like, sprinkle in a fraction of a unit on some of these longer shots. But Lee Hodges is a real player, real player with a real skill set that makes a lot of sense here. So yeah, I love that. Couple of guys that I would throw out as well. Let me scroll back here. So I'm a big fan of Quade Cummins at 150 to 1.
Big game.
He's another young gun guy. When you look at his overall game, right? His overall game, he's an impressive putter when he gets it rolling. And the rest of his game is like really kind of well-rounded. So he's a guy that makes a lot of sense here. He can bomb the ball, but the accuracy actually typically trumps the distance as far as his game is concerned, which is saying a lot. Around the green game is very stout. Approach game has been consistent over the last 36 rounds that he's played. And he's on an upward trend, believe it or not. He played the one flight at Myrtle Beach. He was a T27. He played at the Charles Schwab. He was T36. Absolutely lapped the field in putting at the Schwab. So this is a player. If he gets a hot stick going, man, he's one to watch out for. Again, just another young guy to put on the radar at 150 to 1.
Yeah, cosign.
So we are radio feed. Thank you, Tennessee, for tuning in.
Sorry for the swears.
Apologize for that. We'll clean her up. But we'll get back to our middle section here and let anybody on YouTube follow us out the rest of the way here.
Yes, let's do it.
So getting back to the mid-level, guy I'm looking at heavily and a little bit biased from last week, seeing some of the performance, Nick Taylor, 45 to 1. He's won, obviously, the Canadian Open 2 years ago in 23, won against Fleetwood in a playoff, getting back to the Adam Hadwin tackle by security guard year.
Poor Fleetwood.
Poor Fleetwood. I don't know if you watched last week, but Bo just beat me up on Fleetwood. And I was like, this is the type of course, man. Like, come on, Tommy.
I hate to agree with Bo, you know this, but I've reached that point with him where it's just like, I'm tired of being Charlie Brown with the football. And that is me, just record like top 5 bets. Yeah, go for it. Like all day. But when? Nope. Like, it's just like I had to give up on Cam Young, who's my guy. Like, I had so much hope and promise I was like, this guy is the real deal. And unfortunately, I had to give up on him as well because, like, eventually, if you don't win, it just makes it even hard. We saw this with Rory, right? At a much bigger level, right? Getting a major win and just how much energy and just mental. There's guys on the tour that have never won that they go through that every time they're in contention, like every time.
I like Cam Young here.
Hey, I always like to say that, I'm always early, never wrong, right? So that would make me very early.
I'm always early and often wrong. But yeah, you've got a guy on here that I think actually makes sense. He didn't pop for me, but tell me what you love about Kitayama.
Well, I mean, Long Iron Golf Course, immediately think Kurt Kitayama. There is very few guys that are better from that like 175, 200 plus. And again, think about it. You got 2 reachable par 5s. You got 6 par 4s of 480 plus yards and 2 par 3s of 220. That's 10 holes where these guys may end up facing 175, 200 yard shot. Shout out to NorCal.
You're banned from the show, Royal.
So I just, again, at his value in this field, I feel like he's worth a shot because he's so good in that number. And I do think that, again, I don't think the scoring is going to be like out of hand. And I think that brings somebody like him having a great week, say, with the irons and maybe just a good week with the putter into a real good chance of winning.
Yeah, I like what you're saying about Kitayama. I think the thing I worry about with him is I always like him better at a grinder type of tournament. Like I like when it's got to get nitty gritty, and I don't know that I believe that happens here, but I love everything you're saying. And with Kitayama, it's a putter away from being a great performance every time he tees it up because the rest of his game's really good. And when you look at a guy that like really knows how to shape a shot, I mean, Kitayama's got some really cool shots in the bag. You know, if Bo were here, Bo would say friend of the show, Kurt Kitayama, shout out NorCal, all those things. It's a guy that we tail. It's a guy we've won a lot of money on. You know, and he does make some sense here. Cam Young qualified for the U.S. Open by the skin of his teeth, and I believe it was a 5-man playoff. I like him here. I think everything that we just talked about with Kitayama sort of applies to Cam Young. Like you take some of the emphasis off of the accuracy, right? You allow him to kind of swing free, if you will. And then if he can just have a modicum of short game, just a smidge this week, he goes from middle of the pack to, you know, competing to win. And he's kind of hot right now. 60-1. It's not a bad number on Cam Young.
Not at all. I mean, again, basically everything you're saying for Cam Young is why I'm on Jake Knapp this week. And I mean, it's the same principle that I just think that they have the ability, especially in the range that they are 60, 80-1. They can overpower a golf course, which I think is going to be huge this week. They're going to be able to take advantage of the 2 par 5s. They're going to be able to take advantage of those short par 4s, like potentially being able to reach them no matter where the tees are at. And then what I really like about both Knapp and Young is they don't even have to hit driver on these 480 plus, holes. And they'll still be, probably hitting like 8, 9 irons into these greens because they're just so freaking long. And I'm always looking for that. The other thing I meant to mention on Kitayama, and I'm sorry, is obviously in a tournament that we don't have any, real data. I always go back to the tried and true. Strokes gained tee to green, the last 16 rounds. That's Grillo, Rory, Goddard, Lowry, Connors, Fox, Olsen, Gim, Smalley, Kitayama. And I like just about all those guys. I mean, you could talk me into any of them because, again, I think this thing does kind of become a putting contest between the best ball strikers here, or somebody's just going to have to get innately hot with the putter to not be, I think, one of these top guys tee to green to win here at the end of the week.
Yeah, I think that scares me more about some of the guys we just rattled off. I mean, Kitayama is not good at putting. I don't care what week it is. He'd really have to figure it out. But there's a guy that I like, and I didn't talk about him, but he'll be in my article. But like Kevin Yu is another one. When you look at the ball striking metrics of Kevin Yu, very similar to Kitayama, where it's just this very well-rounded game with a lot of different options on shot shaping, a lot of different iron play that he can do. But then you look at the putting and around the green, and it's like, oh God, if you miss a green, you better book your flight home on Friday. But yeah, I think it's that same volatility with a lot of these guys. So Kitayama. God, you're kind of turning me on to Kitayama. Okay.
So the other 2 guys are, to me, I like even more is Wyndham Clark at 50-1 and Alex Smalley at 60. Again, anytime I get Wyndham Clark at over 40-1 on a golf course where driver distance is going to be key, and then you need to potentially putt well, he's one of the first guys I think of because he's one of those few guys that can fit both those baskets. I understand that has not played out so far this season, but we've seen him go through these struggles before, and we've seen him have these breakout putting performances. I think this is a venue that actually sets up well for him. And then Alex Smalley is a guy that anytime he's over 50-1, I'm just going to keep betting him because I think that he is the guy that will win an event before 2025 ends. Like, I'm confident saying that. You just look across the board, all of his metrics. He's getting more comfortable each time being up there and in contention on the weekend. He's just got too solid of a game, in my opinion, for him not to come through at one of these. And this is a great one because it's a venue that he's very good long iron player. He's very good around the greens. He can be very good on the greens. He actually is not terrible in terms of strokes gained off the tee. Like, he's just somebody that has a really good, well-rounded game for a tournament that I think, again, will be in like that 12 to 18 under number. I think that's right in the kind of place that Alex Smalley can win this week.
Yeah, I love Smalley. Rated out 5th for me. I'm just going to be transparent with you, and we don't need to beat it up. I hate Wyndham Clark this week. His stats are just god awful and everything I looked at. But Smalley, 5th in my model. To your point, not bad off the tee. The last 36, he's been better than not bad. He's 11th. Strokes gain around the green if he happens to miss, 10th in this field. Bogey avoidance, 5th. That key par 4 scoring, 450 to 500 yards, he's 5th in this field. I love Alex Smalley this week. In transparency, I love him a little bit more for DFS purposes. I think he may be a little lower owned in that 7,600 range.
I feel very good about him making the cut too, which I do. I don't know about you. I do mostly just cash games, high entries. Like, I feel like that's where you can consistently win. Like, you're not going to break the bank every week, but you just keep making a profit, right? Treat it like gambling. Those are the kind of guys I'm looking for.
I saw a guy that tripled his money this week in a cash game.
Well,
I think that was
me.
I don't know.
But again, some weeks are better than others, but it is hard. Like, with DFS, I understand the appeal of these big contests, but I spend every Wednesday on ESPN Northwest Florida going, people, do double ups. Like, it's not sexy, but you will double your money and you only have to beat half the field. You understand how much better odds that is than beating a 50,000 field tournament with, like, say 1 or 5 entries when other guys have 150? Like, you're playing lottery at that point. Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, silver bullets into a $5 MME is just stupid. I mean,
Yep.
you've got it. You literally might have a better chance of winning at least some money in your state lotto.
Yep.
But yeah, anyways, we'll bring her on home. We'll get to the hat pick here in a minute. There's one last guy. You mentioned Lee Hodges already when we get back into the long shots here. You mentioned Lee Hodges at 120-1. Love that. And then my guy that I think I'm gonna start trying to be early on is David Ford. Now, I touched on it earlier in the headlines. Like, do I think David Ford is the cream of the crop with these young guns? No, I don't. But I think he's playing with a lot of confidence right now. He's 250-1. I think he's going to come in here riding high, and I think that this is a field that he has the right skill set and the right maybe confidence level to get in here and box a little bit. And 250-1, I mean, go throw $5 at it. If it hits, you win $1,000. I mean, you know what I mean? It's don't make a large investment here.
I like the prop bets on them for the same reason. Like, the top 5 and top 10, you're getting crazy odds for a guy, to your point, that is as talented as anybody, not named like Rory and a few other names in this field. So yeah, like, these are the kind of moments you want, right? Before everybody else is on to these people.
Yeah, because, we might blink and 2 weeks from now we're getting Oberg numbers on him and you're like 14-1. What? Based on what?
John Rahm went through that. I'll never forget. Like, we were getting him at like 90-1 in majors. And then all of a sudden he was like 30-1. And then it was like 15-1. And I'm like, man, I missed the 90-1 John Rahm days.
I think we had John Rahm as low as like plus 350 at one point.
I believe it when he first came on the tour, because he was so young and such a hothead. God, I miss that version of Rahm, man.
I do too, man. He's one of those players, man. You and I could talk about this for hours too. We're gonna have to get you back on soon.
Yeah, man.
Let's do a show where we just shoot the
would love it
about golf. But yeah, I think that pretty much rounds out my betting card. I'd throw a couple of placement props out here just for good measure, and then we'll do the hat pick and we'll get on out of here. So we talked about it a little bit earlier. I'm going to run the ladder with Luke Clanton. We'll do the top 5 and the top 10. Top 5 is plus 650. Top 10 is plus 330 plus the outright. Corey Connors top 10. I think that's a really solid possibility of plus 190. Keith and I both love Sam Burns here. Top 10 for him is paying out at plus 240 right now. I think that's a really great number, as good as Sam's plan. And then this one I think is a little more volatile, but it's a decent number. Cam Young top 10 at plus 450.
I completely co-sign all the Clan plays, and same thing for Burns. I really like the value of like a Robert McIntyre 5-1 to top 5. He plays these kind of courses well. Again, I think this is going to be more of a plotting tournament because it's hard to get on a real streak with the way the course is laid out. I think that sets up well for him. He's somebody that can stay in those things. Same thing for Shane Lowry at plus 360. Like, Lowry has gone to a whole nother level on tour, and not too many people are noticing it because he's not winning. Like, and I get that. Like, he's not winning consistently, but if you look, he is every week right there going into the weekend. And if you ask these guys, that's all they want. The top 10 values, I love Eric Cole at plus 450.
That one
been playing,
me too.
Yeah, that feels like really good odds for a guy that's playing really well. And then again, Justin Rose being 5-1 to top 10 to me is just so disrespectful in this field when Justin Rose treats this tournament like the major championship that it is, the Canadian National Championship. And we just see him in the fields and the events that mean the most to him. He's right there. And I think that he can excel. Like, he's the one thing he's going to obviously have to work on is losing a little bit off the tee, but he's such a good long iron player and he's so good around the greens. I think he can compete here.
Yeah, you're not going to get any disagreement from me. So, all right. I don't know how you model, so we may have to go off of mine here, but we'll do the hat pick, and then we will part ways for the evening. It has been a pleasure, sir.
Always, man. Anytime, let me know. Love this.
So the hat has actually been on a little bit of a streak. It's been close. Oh, hat. That's not a great call. So number 17 in the model. The hat has chosen Ryo Hisasune this week. It's not the worst call. It's just not a great call.
Oh, I like this. Okay. So 17th for my model is somebody that I almost recommended, did not, but Gary Woodland, who has showed signs of life. Again, my co-host of the 2 Off the Tee show on Fantasy Six Pack is going through cancer several times. He's had 2 tumors removed from his brain. So obviously we have latched on to Gary Woodland. We want him to get that W because Woodland knows what he's been through, and I think it would mean a lot for Ryan. So I always am good rooting for Gary Woodland. And again, a lot of the metrics are starting to show back up. He obviously, the big thing is got to putt better. But I do like him on a golf course where it's not as big of a deal to hit it, really straight, because he is now like one of the 10 longest guys on tour, which I did not know he had gained that kind of distance over the last couple of years.
Well, and if for nothing else, we'll pull for Ryan and Gary this week. So we'll elect Gary as the hat pick this week because I do like Gary here, man. And we as a show have been pulling for Gary for weeks and weeks. So let's go, Gary. Let's get it done.
Let's do it. Yeah,
let's get it done. All right. Well, Keith, you've got a whole bunch of different places for people to check you out if you want to rattle it off and plug it a little bit.
Do you want me to whore myself out for a minute? I'm happy to do it.
I would love that more than anything.
So all my golf stuff is on fantasysixpack.net. Big shout out to Joe Bond, who's the head of Fantasy Six Pack, for getting me to break down everything that I'd done the last 3 years. Now there is a PGA DFS cheat sheet. There is a betting cheat sheet. I have a course preview. There is a model. We have stats on the website. All that stuff is available. So you get that every week. It usually goes up by Tuesday. Me and Ryan normally go on the air for 2 Off the Tee on Fantasy Six Pack's YouTube channel Tuesday nights around 9 p.m. if Ryan is done with all of his daddy duties. He's got 2 kids that play sports, so sometimes a little later. And then Wednesdays I go on Ryan's show, which is in ESPN Northwest Florida, 104.3. On for basically 40 minutes. We talk golf this time of the year. We transition to DFS football and NFL talk. Obviously, basically once the Tour Championship ends. But I just love talking golf. You can hit me up with any questions ever because I could talk about this stuff all day. I've really enjoyed, this is the first time we've ever talked. And like this, I'm with you, man. Like I would love to, be able to discuss a bunch more topics of the game of golf. Because like I said, I got opinions that I can tell you to take. So that's a good thing. And I just wish more people would be passionate about the sport because it is great. And I know we're trying to win money, and that's my goal each week. Obviously, I know that's y'all's as well. But we also want to, entertain and, talk about a sport that I know that, somebody's played it for 35 years, somebody's played it for 30 years. I love this fucking game. Love it so much. Like so much. It's what I try to spend every waking moment doing.
It's the memories with my friends playing, even to this day. It's the memories of playing with my dad.
Yep.
It's a game that's you can play for the entirety of your life. So I always get excited when I get to talk to people that love the game and are historians of the game too. It's something I always enjoy about talking with Bo. So this has been fantastic, Keith. Thank you so much for filling in tonight.
Yeah, man, anytime.
And
glad to have you guys on our show before the year's over. Would love that.
Let's just have a couple of big blowouts and party all of it.
I'm down.
No, thanks for everybody who tuned in tonight. Again, go catch up with Keith. Smart dude. If you're not liked and subscribed to the IBT YouTube channel, make sure you do that right now. All in all, awesome show. I hope everybody wins a lot of money this week, and we'll catch you next week for the US Open. Everybody have a good night.